ISI 2023 PEB, Group A, question number 3. There is a unit mass of consumer who wants to purchase at most 1 unit of good. So unit mass of consumers basically means that the number of consumers is equal to 1. Consumer V has a valuation V uniformly distributed between the interval 0 to 1, so that the number of consumers in between A and B, where 0 less than equal to A, less than B, less than equal to 1, is basically B minus A. How did you get that? Basically integration A to B 1 by 1 minus 0 dx, hence this is equal to B minus A. That is what it means. The consumers between A and B, because it is uniformly distributed, so it's like this. Okay, there is a monopoly with total cost of a monopolist is Q by 3. The firm does not know the identity of any consumer and hence must charge a uniform price. So uniform price has to be charged. So basically, if the monopolist sets a price P, who will buy? Okay, who will buy is basically quantity bought will be basically all the consumers who has a valuation greater than P. So these are all the people who will basically buy. Okay, so basically 1 minus P is what the demand curve is. Okay, I'm solving too much. For any price, derive with a clear explanation the demand facing the monopoly firm. Write a clear explanation. Okay, B, derive with a clear explanation the monopoly price and profit level. This find out. And part C, suppose that the firm can, for a cost, get to know whether a consumer belongs to the interval 0 to 4 by 5 or to the interval 4 by 5 to 1. So this is he can price discriminate basically. This is third degree price discrimination. Two different markets being charged two different prices. What is the maximum amount the firm is willing to pay for this information? Give a clear explanation of your answer. Okay, make an attempt. Come on, do it. All parts, make an attempt. Do it. Okay, so let's get started with this particular question. All right. Okay, so this is A3. Part A is derivation of the demand curve. So a consumer with valuation V will purchase 1 unit of good if the price P, I said this, I'm basically writing it down. If the price P is less than or equal to their valuation, that is, value has to be greater than or equal to P. If P is greater than the valuation, consumer does not buy. Okay, since valuation V is uniformly distributed over the interval 0 to 1, the number, you can put it in brackets, the number measure of consumers with valuation between P to 1 is simply equal to 1 minus P. Since in the question it was given 0 less than A less than B less than 1 was B minus A. It was given in the question. So with valuation between P to 1, it will be 1 minus P. Therefore, demand function is nothing but 1 minus P, right? If P greater than 1, quantity demanded is equal to 0 and P negative is not possible. You can just write it. Negative price is not possible. Okay, thus therefore for P belongs to 0 to 1 is the demand function facing the monopolist. Okay, that's part A. Part B is basically finding out the monopolist cost and profit level. So cost of the monopolist is basically Q by 3. Demand curve is basically 1 minus P. Therefore profit is basically 1 minus Q into Q minus Q by 3. Derivative 1 minus 2Q minus 1 by 3 is equal to 0, or Q is equal to 2Q is 2 by 3, Q is equal to 1 by 3. Is this clear? So the quantity of the monopolist is basically 1 by 3. Price of the monopolist is 1 minus Q, which is equal to 2 by 3. Okay. And if I were to get into profit maximizing, profit of the monopolist is basically P into Q minus Q by 3, 2 by 9 minus 1 by 9, which is equal to 1 by 9. That is the profit. Clear hai? If it is clear, please type C in the chat box. You just have to do this, that's it. Now part C, let's do part C. What is part C? Suppose that the firm can now price discriminate. एक interval है 0 to 4 by 5 के बीच में, एक interval है 4 by 5 to 1 के बीच में. What is the maximum amount the firm is willing to pay for this information? Give a clear explanation. So the information where the firm gets to know. Okay. So part C, value of information is what we need to find out. Value of information in order to engage in price discrimination. Okay, so with this information, you can write this thing down. With this information, firm can practice third degree price discrimination, charging different prices to the two identifiable groups. So group 1, consumers with valuation between 0 to 4 by 5. Okay, so the mass size of this group is basically 4 by 5. The other group, that's group 2, is consumers with valuation between 4 by 5 to 1. Mass size of this group is basically 1 minus 4 by 5, which is equal to 1 by 5. Firm maximizes profit by setting MR is equal to MC in each market segment, provided the solution is feasible, that is, does not exceed marginal cost, and basically the market size, obviously. So let's talk about the first segment, segment 1. The demand in this segment comes from consumers whose value is greater than the price being charged. Okay. right? And the value is between 0 to 4 by 5. Therefore, the value has to lie between P1 to 4 by 5. Therefore, quantity demanded by this is 4 by 5 minus P1. Go back to the definition that we saw. People lying between the valuation A to B is B minus A. So people lying between the valuation P1 to 4 by 5 will be 4 by 5 minus P1. As simple as that. Therefore, total revenue of the first is 4 by 5 minus Q1 into Q1. Marginal revenue of this is 4 by 5 minus 2Q1. Am I making sense? And this is equal to nothing but marginal cost, which is equal to 1 by 3. So 4 by 5 minus 1 by 3 is equal to 2Q1. Okay, so this is basically 15 LCM. 3 into 12 minus 5 is equal to 2Q1. Therefore, Q1 is equal to 7 by 30. And P1 will be equal to 4 by 5 minus Q1, which is equal to 17 by 30. 24 minus 7 half. 17 by 30. Is this clear? थोड़ा dirty हो गया, sorry. Segment 1 का ये हो गया. Profit of segment 1 is basically P1 Q1 minus Q by 3. 7 by 90. ठीक है? 7 by 30 square. 7 by 30. 17 by 30 minus 10 by 30 into 7 by 30, which is equal to 49 by 900. Okay. This is the profit. Clear hai? Clear? 49 by 900. This is segment 1. Now we'll go into segment 2. Erasing this. Clear? Okay. We didn't have any space. Sorry. Segment 2. High value consumers. Valuation between 4 by 5 to 1. Okay. Basically, who will consume when P2 between P2 to 1. Okay. Therefore, demand 1 minus P2. Okay. So total revenue 1 minus Q2 into Q2. Marginal revenue, marginal cost. Okay. This is what we get. Feasibility check. This is what you have to write. This is the same demand function that we had in case A also. Okay, so, but here, is it feasible? Maximum possible quantity in this segment is the mass of the group, which is 1 minus 4 by 5, which is 1 by 5. Okay, 1 by 3 quantity is definitely greater than 1 by 5. The unconstrained optimization is therefore not feasible. Firm cannot sell more than total number of consumers in the group because MR2 is equal to 1 minus 2 into 1 by 5, which is equal to 3 by 5, which is 0.6. Marginal revenue is basically 1 minus 2 Q2, right? The marginal revenue is basically 0.6, which is greater than the marginal cost of 1 by 3. At the maximum capacity, the firm wants to sell to this entire group. Therefore, the quantity that the firm will sell is 1 by 5. And the price that it is going to charge is 4 by 5. Am I making sense? If I'm making sense, please type S in the chat. See, I found out the demand. Okay. I saw that the marginal revenue at the demand that I found out is not possible because I can't sell more than the number of consumers itself, right? So here what I did was I therefore put my maximum quantity, that is 1 by 5. So at 1 by 5, my marginal revenue is 0.6, but my marginal cost is only 1 by 3. Because my MR2 is greater than MC, I as a monopolist will want to sell entirely to this at the new price. So the profit from segment 2 is nothing but P2 into Q2 minus Q2 by 3. So 4 by 25 minus 1 by 15. Again, I can take 900 as the, there I got 900 if you remember. 900 as the LCM. 25 into 20 is 500, 40, 36. 36 into 4. 36 into 4 is how much? 36 and 35 into 4, 140, 144 minus 60. That's basically 84 by 900. That is the profit of segment 2. Therefore, total profit and value of information. Profit by price discrimination is equal to first segment profit plus second segment profit 133 by 900. Original profit without price discrimination, if you remember, was 1 by 9, which is nothing but 100 by 900. Can I write it down in this way? Therefore, maximum amount the firm willing to pay for this information is increase in profit. Value is profit price discrimination minus profit, which is 133 by 900 minus 100 by 900, which is 33 by 900, which is equal to 11 by 300. Is this clear? If it is clear, please type C in the chat box. This is the third part fully done. Segment 1 we did, and now again we are doing segment 2. I have done the questions very slowly, given you all the working, and I have given you an indication how to write your answers. Okay?